Interesting. What is that? A type of cheese? Um, no, I usually wear socks with my sneakers. I don't know. Yeah. They said they said chips, some grilled chicken, what you don't need more than that. It's. Steve Weiner here from GetRebix.com. We're continuing work on our V2 of our ZeroTouch Intune migration. Today is going to be all about the data migration and backup method and making decisions before you actually have to migrate and how the script can help you do that. Yeah, I mean, don't even invite me. I will not go to a party. Okay, so last time we were able to build the framework for our new pre-migrate script, which is run. I'll show you real quick again. We're here approximately 10 days before we're going to migrate. So this is a PowerShell script that can be deployed by itself to collect data stored in Azure Blob Storage and give us some options and a place to review before it's actually time to migrate. So today we're going to keep going and we are going to look at our, if I ever get there, data migration and backup method. Now, what does that mean? So let's frame a few things out. First things first, and some of this is similar to what we did last time. Check user data size. So we got to see how much data we're migrating. We're going to check the disk space. And that'll determine if we can do this locally or if we're going to have to do this using blob storage. Which is okay because we connected blob storage in the last post. We're gonna get space required for local migration versus blob storage, and that's how we'll, because you do need some local storage to do some compression, but not as much. So what we can do is we can, after we determine what we need, we're going to start data backup. And what we'll do first is we will try local if we can. And if that doesn't work, we will try blob. And if that doesn't work, we cannot migrate the data. Cannot migrate data. So that's the idea behind this. There's a lot that goes into this, so bear with me on this. But I'll try to take it in sections here. So the first thing we're going to do is create a variable called total profile size. And that's going to equal 0. Equals 0. Okay, so we're going to, 2 equal zeros. Nonsense. For each location in locations, because remember, we already determined up top which paths we're going to be migrating. We're going to create the user location for that. So the user location is going to be C users user location. Right? So in our case, that first one would be C. Well, we know our user is, let's scroll up here. We're getting our username here. So it'd be C users, Bob Freeman, location, app data roaming or app data local. So that's our local area. So the user location. So we need to get the size of that folder. So that is size equals, we're going to get child item of user location, recurse, measure the object, measure the length and the sum of that, and pipe out sum. Now that'll give us the actual number, but we need to also put it in human speak because it's just going to give us bytes. So I do this little N2 gigabyte. Okay, F, and then we can throw size divided by 1 gigabyte, and that'll give us our, 0.7 gigabytes or 36 gigabytes, right? So, right hosts, and that's just for us, right? So we could say user location is size gigabytes. And then we can add the raw number to our total profile size. Total profile size plus size. Okay. So that'll add that up, and now we have a total profile size gigabyte, which is, again, same thing. 0 and 2 gigabyte f total profile size divided by a gigabyte. I can write that out. Right host. Say user profile size is profile size. Great. All right, that takes care of that. Now we have to check the disk space. So we have disk size equals get volume of the drive letter. Drive letter, we'll say C. Select object. Expand property size. Then we'll have a disk size gigabyte. Again, that's going to be the same thing. And we can just cheat a little bit and grab that formula for ourselves. It's going to get really repetitive. Okay, disk size 1 gigabyte, and you get the idea. We need the free space, so that's going to be get volume drive letter C. Okay. Select object. I could have also done this first part as a variable and just called properties, but it's only 2 of them, and I just thought of it now, so maybe next time. Size remaining. And then we can do a free space gigabyte equals 2f free space. Okay, there we go. And what we can do now is we can say right host disk has free space available out of the total, and we'll put the disk size. Give us an idea of how much we're using. So now this is where we're going to determine what we need for each piece here. So for if we're going to go the local route, so we'll call that local required space, and that's going to be the total profile size times 3. So we need 3x the free space on the device to do a local stage migration. Local required space gigabyte equals local required space by a gigabyte. Same thing here. And then we're going to say right host local required space of free disk space is required to migrate data locally. All right, we're going to do the exact same thing for the blob because we need less, so we'll do times 2. Blob required space equals total profile size times 2. So blob required space gigabyte equals blob required space 1 gigabyte. Right host blob required space of free disk space is required to migrate via blob storage. I think we got that. All right, so we have our parameters. Now, how do we do this? And how do we know what it's going to be after? So we are going to add a migrate variable to our XML. So whichever path we choose, we're documenting it. So here we go. We're going to start the data backup. So I'm going to make a migrate method variable, which is just going to be nothing right now. Okay, so first I'm going to try the local backup. So what are my parameters there? If my free disk space is greater than my local required space. So if I have more space than I need, because we can't brick machines, if I have more space than I need, that's the local requirement. Migrate locally. Okay. If and what I'm going to do there is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set that variable. So I'm going to say migrate method equals local. Okay. If that doesn't work, where are we going here? If that doesn't work, I'm going to try blob storage. So if my free space is greater than my blob required space, so okay, I don't have 3x, but do I have 2x available? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write host. I'm going to set the variable. Migrate method is going to be set to blob. And I'm going to proceed to migrate via blob. If I can't do any of it, well, then basically I'm left with else write host. So I'm going to migrate method is going to be an A. So not applicable. So no one's migrating. We could do none or, whatever there. And we'll just, write error message. So that's the flow of it. And there's a lot of pieces in there, especially with the blob. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to focus on the method we use to migrate locally, and pipe that out. So to migrate locally, I'll first alert the log to what I'm doing. Free space is sufficient to transfer total profile size of user data locally. So now it just lets us know why we're doing it and that whole thing. So now we got to go through it, right? For each location in locations, what do? We take the user location. Okay. And that should still be... No, that's just for each. We'll write it again. User location equals C user location. We're going to create a backup location. And that is going to be C users public temp location. Now that doesn't exist, so we're going to do that now. Test path backup location Victor backup location. See how easy that is? And then we just write host. Write host. Actually, so we can put let's put a try catch here. Try catch. So we're gonna write host initiating. Actually, wait, that would go before. Here, let's do this. Initiating backup of user location. And we will try to do it. So we will say robocopy user location to backup location. And our same parameters we used last time. Wing 0v, the exclude junction is pretty much why we have to do it this way. And then we can write host, user location, backed up to backup location. Great. If there is an error, we're going to take our message and we're going to say write host, user location could not be backed up to backup location. And then we'll put error and message, so whatever the issue is there. Great. Location to backup location. Okay, great. So that's if the free space greater than. Okay, excellent. Okay, so we have our means of migrating locally should the computer have enough space, but unfortunately, a lot of times when you're dealing in large profile sizes, it doesn't. So now we have an option to back that data up to blob storage. So we're going to cover that next. 1, 2,